The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. A couple of topics I wanted to get to tonight. Had to rearrange the programming schedule for the week. Commanders Kings initially was supposed to be Tuesday, got bumped to Wednesday, got bumped again now to Thursday. That would have been my time slot to talk to you guys about the team. So flip-flop the two, no big deal. It's the offseason. Things are fluid. Not a real big deal, right? So instead, coming to you kind of a bit later than we would normally be, but still got some interesting topics to bring to the forefront. So I wanted to start by talking about the receiver position. Matter of fact, let's start with this. I told you the last time we spoke that our guy, JD5, who's one of them ones, as I told you, if I've said many a times, he's the fifth best quarterback in the NFL, if you ask me. Now, again, it's early. He's got 1 year of service, doesn't have an extensive body of work. That right now is the only reason that you can say he's not a top 5 performer, if that's the argument you want to go with. I can't argue with that. You know, a resume and a body of work is what allows people to be able to say that this is not a fluke. A large enough sample size negates any talk of do it again, right? If we have that present and we can see it, then there's no need for that discussion to even arise. So that's the only thing that may allow someone to say, no, I'm not buying it. Do it again. Touche. I'm not going to argue with that. But I know what my eyes are saying, and my eyes don't lie to me very often. So, and I'm not alone. It's not like I'm out here talking about this guy being the next, best thing since sliced bread, and everybody else is talking about him in a different light. I think we're kind of all on the same page here. But just for the sake of visual proof, because I told you the next time I saw you, I'd have visual proof. So here it is. So let's go inside the odds, brought to you by Bet US.
Inside the odds.
So looking for a new book? Bet US has you covered. Lots of interesting opportunities are on the horizon. Fastest payouts in the industry. Get up to 10% back on your net losses twice a year, as long as you've been active within the last 6 months. Here's the big kicker. Haven't used Bet US before? Great opportunity for you to start now. Get a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 and a 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits. If you use the next 2 deposits up to $2,000, if you use the promo code YouTube150, that's YouTube150 to get you 100%, 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 and 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. In front of you, you see odds for the 2025-2026 regular season MVP winner. All fresh off the presses, fresh off of the Bet US website. They also have casino betting on their website as well, so check it out. With that said, I told you he was 5th in the voting. Now, again, you go to different books, he could be 3rd, he could be 7th. It just depends on where you're looking. Right now, I've seen 3 different books. This is the one I'm going with. And they all have him at 5th right now. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who were 1 and 2 in the MVP voting this year. Allen taking home the hardware this year. Jackson finishing a very close second. Are you 1 and 2? Self-explanatory. Joe Burrow, who probably would have won the award had the Bengals been 12 and 5 or 13 and 4 this year, or hell, even 11 and 6, had they just made the playoffs, there's an argument to be made for Joe Burrow being the MVP this year. But because they were 9 and 8, missed the postseason, Joe Burrow did not win MVP. However, he's at plus 600, tied with Josh Allen for the distinction for next season. After him, Patrick Mahomes plus 700. Okay, again, these are the elites of the elites we're talking about in the National Football League. Okay, these aren't, Derek Carr or Dak Prescott or, Baker Mayfield, and no shot at Baker Mayfield. I think he's really good. Big Baker Mayfield fan. He's on this list, but he's around the spot where you see Jared Goff's name, Dak Prescott's name. We ain't talking about them dudes. We talking about the best the NFL has to offer. I talk about one of them ones, Lamar Jackson, one of them ones, Josh Allen, one of them ones, Joe Burrow, one of them ones, Patrick Mahomes, definitely one of them ones, plus 700 for Patrick Mahomes to be league MVP next season. And then would you look at that? Would you look at the company our guys keeping? That's right. Jaden Daniels at plus 850. Plus 850. I mean, that's some elite company. There's a sizable gap between Jaden Daniels, who's 5th, and the next guy, Straight Jacket Hurts, who's at plus 1,800. All right. It ain't even close between the next guy. So what they've essentially said is we're drawing the line in the proverbial sand is what we're doing here. We're drawing the line between one of them ones, the group of one of them ones, right? It's 5. We're drawing a line and we're separating. There's a clear delineation between the top 5 guys in the league at the quarterback position, or one of them ones, and everybody else. Again, it's levels to this shit. I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but shit, if it's already dead, what's one more lick going to do to it, right? What's one more going to do, right? Nothing. So why not? We got one of them ones, y'all. Shit, since we're here, we might as well quickly, because Adam Schefter talked about this earlier. So I said, shit, I'm here. Might as well touch on it. Who will the Philadelphia Eagles play week 1 next season? Well, we've already said that we think we have the best shot at being their week 1 opponent. I don't want any parts of it, to be honest with you. I know fans that want the smoke week 1 and are like, yeah, no, I want to go there and wreck their banner night. Yeah, I'm good. I want to play on Sunday like everybody else. Hell, I'll even sign up for Sunday Night Football week 1. I'll even sign up for Sunday Night Football. You want us to do Detroit week 1, Sunday night at home, kick off the season? I'll sign up for it. Look, if that's what the powers that be decide that they want to do, cool. I would prefer to stay out of the fray. All right, there are other options here. As you can see, we're even money, bro. They're like, yeah, we think it's going to be you guys. NFC Championship rematch, divisional foe, Jaden Daniels. It just seems a little bit too good to be true. It feels juicy. They think it's juicy. BetUS says it's even money. Can't even give you any favorable odds here. It's even money. You 50-50. You can go either way. I don't disagree with them. Lions at plus 250. Another very interesting matchup there. Lions were the best team in the conference last year. I could see them giving the Lions an opportunity to make a little noise. No Ben Johnson. Let's see what it looks like now. Giants, plus 350. I mean, unless you're trying to toss them a softball lob for them to knock out of the park, which they used to do when they first created this Thursday night game. It used to be a celebration of the Super Bowl champs from the year prior. So they weren't trying to give them a tough opponent. They were trying to toss them up a softball lob toss. Like, here, crush this. They're not doing that anymore. They want ratings. And look, it doesn't have to be the best opponent. Like, it's going to do numbers. It's the first game. People are fiending by the time we get to September, fill in the blank. They're fiending. You could give them Browns and Jags and they'll eat it up, right? By that time, you just want it. However, it ain't going to be the Giants. Okay, I can assure you they're not going to put the Giants on. This is too good of a spot for them to waste a Thursday night kickoff game with the Giants as the opponent. I don't even know why these odds are so high for the Giants. That's ridiculous. Rams make a ton of sense. That was their most competitive game they played all postseason. So that one makes sense. If Stafford's back, I could see it happening. Cowboys to kick off the season? Yeah, I don't think that's week 7 Sunday Night Football, right? I don't see them using that. They don't have to do that. That's why I don't think it's going to be us either, because you don't have to do that. You can save us and the Eagles for a week 10 showdown on Sunday Night Football. You don't have to use it in week 1. Same with Dallas. You can save that for a week 13 Sunday night game, a week 7 Sunday night game. You don't have to waste that on week 1. Eagles are getting 5 prime timers. They won the Super Bowl. They were already a team that was guaranteed 4 off the bat, off the rip. Now that they won the Super Bowl, they're getting 5. So there'll be ample opportunities. They're getting 2 Sundays, 2 Mondays, and a Thursday. Here's the Thursday right here to kick off the season. And then there's Chicago at plus 700. And this is who Adam Schefter has as his dark horse team to kick off the season against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Adam, he doesn't know. The schedule hasn't been made yet. But he said this is his dark horse team to play the Eagles in week 1, the Chicago Bears. They're going to have Ben Johnson. That's going to be a storyline heading into the season. What does Caleb Williams in year 2 look like now that he's got a competent head coach? We don't even know what Ben Johnson is as a head coach. So there will be intrigue surrounding him and, what Caleb Williams will look like now with coaching that should better suit his skill set. The Bears aren't going to be, I don't think, necessarily a sexy team to put on television this year. But they're still the Bears. They're still one of the what you would call blue bloods of the NFL. Green Bay, Chicago, the Giants. Those teams are never out of style, even when they suck ass. So for that reason, even though I don't think the Bears are going to be on any more than 3 is a lot, but I could see them being on 3 times. If they get this game, they'll probably be on primetime 3 times. If they don't get this one, maybe twice, right? A Monday night, maybe 2 Monday nights and a Thursday. They'll get a Thursday as well. So probably the number is 3 for the Bears. I don't see them being on Sunday night this year. They haven't earned a Sunday night ticket. They got one last year just off the strength of Caleb Williams and the excitement surrounding him early in the season against the Texans. I don't see them getting another Sunday night opportunity. They weren't good enough last year. So this could be their opportunity to get all of the Sunday night, lead up, all the Sunday night build, because you get the Sunday night crew on that first game without actually getting a Sunday night invitation. So, Schefter thinks it's going to be the Bears. That's his guess. I don't know if I see that one or not, but I could see why they would say, you know what, Bears, Eagles, cool. let's knock this one out now. It's going to do numbers, right? Raiders, I don't see it. Broncos, I don't see it being an AFC team. Okay, I think it's going to be an NFC team. So, these are all the options that the Eagles have because these are all home games on their schedule in 2025. So, I don't think it's going to be an AFC team. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's going to be an NFC opponent. I don't think it's going to be any NFC East teams. If it is one, I think it'll be us. I hope it's not us. I don't think they're going to waste. And I use the term waste very loosely because it's the first game of the season. There is no wasting that. It's a big game. You want as many eyeballs as you can get. You want that game to be very attractive. So I could see them burning a Commanders here on the week 1 contest because Jaden Daniels left off as must-see TV. You pick up where you left off. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year. He had a tremendous game against the Eagles in week 16. Actually didn't play, actually played well against them in the, championship game, but obviously the end result does not reflect that. However, there is juice for that if they were to go that direction. I just think about last year, Ravens, Chiefs, excellent week 1 contest, went down to the wire. Wasn't a divisional game, but it was a rematch of the championship game, which is why Washington still sticks out like a sore thumb for me, because it was a rematch of the AFC championship game. And boy, do we know the NFL loves rematches. 2 years ago, it was Lions and Chiefs. Wasn't a rematch. It was AFC versus NFC. So it was none of the things that I'm talking about. It went against the grain, so to speak, because generally we don't do AFC versus NFC, but we did do that 3 years ago. So I'm kind of going back in my head as I'm talking. I'm thinking about what some of these matchups look like. When the Rams won it 3 years ago, they got the Bills, and the Bills went into their building and kicked the dog shit out of them. So I'm thinking about it. 2 out of the last 3 have been AFC, NFC matchups. Then the next year it was Lions, Chiefs, and the Lions went in there and beat them without Kelsey and without Chris Jones, 20-19, I believe that score was. Then the following year, which was last year, we got Ravens, Chiefs, and that was a thriller as well. So if you're trying to go off of the precedents that's been set, there is none. Like the NFL goes all over the place for these games. So you could get, the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix in that slot week 1. That could be a possibility based off of what they've done in the past. What is less likely is the Commanders or the Cowboys. But again, because the Commanders fit into the rematch of the championship game narrative, which is what happened last year, they kind of jump to the front of the line again, even though you want to push them back a bit because that's not what the league has done. They haven't done the divisional matchup in week 1. But then when you look at the championship rematch aspect, kind of pushes Washington back towards the forefront. It's going to be interesting, the decision that they make. These are their options. Bears make sense. Lions, to me, make the most sense. That's my pick. The Lions make the most sense. Lions, Rams, then Commanders for me is the order I would put it in. I don't think they want to burn the Commanders because they got that game down the road. They know that. They could run the Eagles, Commanders back in week 4 in Philadelphia if they want. Like, they don't have to use that in week 1. But they can if they want. And they won't hesitate if they feel like that's the best way to open the season, right? Just thought I'd bring that up. We talked about that before. We didn't have actual visual evidence or visual conversation. But BetUS said, hey, I got you. Don't worry. So there it is. Head over to BetUS. Take advantage of some of these opportunities. So let's talk shop now. So I want to talk about the receiver position tonight. But I want to make this statement again because I think I've said this, but I'm not sure if I've made it abundantly clear where I stand here. So I think I've said this before, but I want to make sure that there's no doubt about it. Adam Peters is going to be aggressive this offseason. I hope you're fully. I will be shocked if he is not aggressive. And what do I mean by aggressive? Because aggressive can mean a lot of things. What do I actually mean by aggressive? Great question. Because last year, technically, we were aggressive last year, not in the sense of going after high-priced individuals and spending hordes of money, right? But no one signed more free agents than us last year. No one turned over their roster like the Commanders did. And guess what? No one has more free agents, unrestricted free agents. No one has less players signed under contract going into the offseason. And guess who? The Washington Commanders. So yet again, we find ourselves in a very similar spot to where we were last year. There's just one major difference. We have direction now. Last year, we were lacking any sort of direction. We didn't know who our general manager was this time last year. We didn't know who our head coach was this time last year. Well, maybe we knew who the general manager was this time last year. We didn't have our head coach, I don't think, by now. Maybe we had our head coach because it was reported the week of the Senior Bowl. Matter of fact, he was at the Senior Bowl practice when the word got out that Dan Quinn was being hired in Washington. So we had just gotten our GM not too long ago. We had just hired our head coach probably a week prior, right? And, we didn't know who we were drafting. We didn't know what the rest of the roster was going to look like. We were still putting together a coaching staff. We had no direction this time last year. Fast forward to where we are now, 12-5, 2 road playoff victories, a trip to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1991. And all of a sudden now, things look vastly different. Your rookie quarterback wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league already, probably already the best quarterback in the conference. So now it looks a lot like Houston a season ago. Now, the biggest difference is Houston, they did some good things last season, but they didn't go to the AFC Championship game. They didn't go to the championship game. And I'd always tell you, it's levels to this shit. It's one thing, and again, the goal is to play home playoff games. That's the goal. Everyone should be striving and attaining to and trying to attain the goal of not having to leave the confines of your home stadium to play a playoff game. That is the goal of every team in the NFL. To be the number 1 seed, to get a first round bye, to come out of that bye, take care of business, and be one step away from the Super Bowl after winning 1 game, right? You want the shortest path of resistance and the most direct path to the Super Bowl. The number 1 seed and not having to leave your home is the most efficient and direct path to the Super Bowl. But here's what I love to know, right? Here's what I love about our guy. That's the goal. That's what we're building towards. Getting to a point where we don't have to leave Northwest Stadium, right? That's what we're trying to work towards. However, in the event that we do have to go on the road, like we did this year, I know I got a trained killer, a cold-blooded assassin who can go into somebody's house and rob them at gunpoint. CJ Stroud hasn't shown the ability to do that. Most quarterbacks have not shown the ability to do that, right? Go on the road and jack somebody up. The goal is to be at home. But if I need to go on the road, I know my quarterback is capable of doing so. Not everybody can say that. That said, you saw what the Texans did last year after realizing, oh shit, we may have a guy at the quarterback position that's pretty damn good, and he's on a rookie deal. We got to maximize this thing. Let's go all in. That is the way to conduct business. When you find out you got a guy this early in the game. Normally it takes a team 2 or 3 years to figure out if the guy's really that good. And by that time, all right, he's knocking on the door of getting a new contract, so the window's kind of wasted. That's what Seattle did with Russell Wilson, right? They were aggressive. First year, he went to the divisional round, and Matt Ryan had to pull a rabbit out of his ass to defeat Russell Wilson and stop him from going to the NFC Championship. So they knew year one, oh shit, we got something. They got aggressive the next offseason. They ran it back. Defense was good, all of that good stuff. Super Bowl 2013. Went back again in 2014. Should have won if they would have just handed it off to beast mode. So they maximized the window of Russell Wilson on that rookie deal. That's what we're looking to do. And the only way you're going to do that is by being aggressive. And no, I'm not talking about a steady diet of, and we're going to get a steady diet of 1-year deals again. Like, that's happening. Like, I don't expect them to be out here handing out 3- and 4-year deals like their mind's gone bad. No, because you want a lot of this money coming off the books when it's time to pay Jaden Daniels. So there may be a few more 2-year deals. Because remember, there are only like 3 or 4 guys that got multi-year deals last year. Austin Eckler signed a 2-year deal. Dorrance Armstrong got a 3-year deal. Frankie Louvu got a 3-year deal. Tyler Biadasz got a 3-year deal. Nobody else got a multi-year deal. That was it. 4 guys. Everybody else, 1-year deal. 1-year deal. 1-year deal. 1-year deal. And I expect that to be the case again this year, right? With the exception of, another 4 or 5 guys that they add to this core that may sign 2- or 3-year deals. I don't see them getting outrageous, right? Bringing somebody in and signing them to a 5-year deal. Again, unless it's a big name receiver. We're going to talk about those players today, right? Or tonight. But honestly speaking, I said all of that to say this. I expect Adam Peters to be aggressive in trying to fast track this team to meet the level at which their quarterback is playing. The rest of the roster is not even remotely close to the level at which their quarterback is playing right now. He's going to try to fast track the rest of the roster to catch up to where the quarterback is. He's not going to be able to do it in one offseason, but he's going to expedite that process this offseason. He already got a head start on it by trading for Marshawn Lattimore last trade deadline. He already got a head start. I expect him to add another corner opposite of him in free agency. I expect him to add a tackle in free agency, possibly add another in the draft, right? Remember, money is no object. We got the 3rd most cap space in the NFL, and if you need more of it, you could snip, 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 snip. Jonathan Allen, that'll save you roughly $15 million. You can cut right tackle Andrew Wiley. That'll save you close to $8 million. Like, there's more ways to accumulate more cap space if you so choose, if you desire. I don't think it's necessary. But the options are there. If you need more money, what you want, money? More? We'll see, right? But I expect them to be aggressive at corner. I expect them to be aggressive on the offensive line. I expect them to add a draft running back, right? I expect them to be aggressive in certain pockets. And you know where else I expect them to be aggressive? Wide receiver. You guessed it. Wide receiver. And you can do all of these things simultaneously. Like, you don't have to, look, I'm on record, adamant. The first thing you need to do is secure a left tackle for your starting quarterback. That is the first thing you need to do. And again,
I don't know if we're seeing it the same. They may not be giving up on the Brandon Coleman left tackle experiment. They may have said, hey, this kid has never had continuity, 2 years of doing the same thing, in a row. We're going to give him an opportunity to do that this year. We're going to keep him at left tackle. We like some of the things we saw. We're going to build upon that, and we're going to continue to move forward with him as our left tackle. That may be their thought process. Not my thought process, but it may be theirs. I'm going to trust the process. What I would do is I would go get us a real left tackle, kick him inside, and let's get to work. But you can get you a left tackle, you can get you a corner, and you can be aggressive in the wide receiver market all at the same time. So with that said, we need a guy opposite of Terry McLaurin. Sick of this shit of trying to piece together with duct tape and monkey glue or gorilla glue and thumbtack, a wad of big league chew, and trying to piece together a damn wide receiver too. I'm sick of that shit. The only other receiver we have, trust me, I can assure you, we're not going into next season with De'Ami Brown or Luke McCaffrey or some other guy that you saw this year playing opposite, or Noah Brown. That's not going to be our wide receiver too. That's not going to be Terry's running mate this season. I can assure you of that. I don't know who the hell it's going to be, but it ain't going to be one of them dudes. It ain't going to be Nick Westbrook-Akine. I can assure you that. He might be on the roster. I can't tell you that he won't be. He won't be receiver number 2. I can tell you that damn much. They're going to get help. They're going to get help. They see what they got at quarterback. They understand what they could be if they got him more weapons, and that's what they're going to do. So with that said, let's rank some of the options that exist for the Commanders. If we're going big game hunting at the receiver position, this is an interesting offseason because I think there could be some really big names available at the wide receiver position. So let's talk about 5 names in particular. Right now, as it stands, none of them are free agents with the exception of one, T. Higgins. I don't think he's going to make it to free agency, though. So in my mind, all 5 of these guys that we're going to talk about today, none of them are actual free agents. All of them are going to cost you some form of draft capital. And in certain cases, you still got to pay them, right? Certain cases, you still got to pay them. That said, I'm not concerned with money. Too often, people get caught up in how are we going to do this? Hey, they'll figure this shit out. Every year, the Eagles are spending money. Every year, Jacksonville's spending money. Every year. If you've got good cap guys, you'll figure this shit out. So I'm not worried. Long as you ain't wasting money, we're good. Okay? Money well spent is still money spent, right? It's when you spend it poorly that it starts to annoy you. So, I got 5 names. Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, Garrett Wilson. I want you to put them in the order of which you would pursue them. Again, don't worry about the compensation or how much you got to pay them or what you got to give up to trade for them. Just strip all of that away and just strictly talk about the fit here in Washington and what you're looking for as a fan to pair with Terry. Put them in order in the way you would want to pursue them. We can add in the variables, right? this guy's 27, this guy's 32, this guy's going to need a new contract if you trade. We can add those in later. I'm just stripping it down to its rawest form. I just want you to tell me in the order how you would pursue these guys based off of their fit here in Washington. I'm going to go through all 5 of these guys and give you my ranking for them. Now, I want to start with Debo, and then we'll get to the actual ranking, and I'll give you my rationale as to why I have this player placed where I do. But we haven't taught Debo Samuel, right? Matter of fact, I'll just save it for when I get to Debo, because we haven't taught Debo since he was given the blessing of the 49ers to go seek a trade. Go find a trade partner. You and your agent go find a team, and we'll see what we can get done. They may have to release him, like at this point. We'll talk about Debo here in a second, but let's talk about it. So I'm going to go in reverse order. Start with the 5th most attractive receiver of the group, and then we'll work our way to the guy that is the most attractive to me. Number 5. You already know who it is. You already know who it is. It's Cooper Kupp. Now, here's why Cooper is 5th for me. While reliable when healthy, that hasn't been something that he has been here of late. He has not been extremely healthy. But when he is healthy, he's effective. He catches the football. He's not much of a separator. The Rams have already said that they may be willing to eat some of his salary should they have to engage in a trade with someone. They may have to cut him, right? There may be no suitors for 32-year-old Cooper Kupp. And thus the Rams, who seem like they're desperate to move on from him, may have to just outright release him. We'll see, right? What kind of sense that makes for them, et cetera, et cetera. But at 32 years old, as a guy that doesn't separate a ton, doesn't give you any run after the catch ability, like there aren't many facets of his game that intrigue me. There aren't many things that he does that I go, man, we definitely need that opposite of Terry. He's cool. And he's better than anything that we were trotting out there last year. But this ain't week 8, and we're not at the trade deadline up against it, and we're desperate for somebody. This is the offseason, and we have options, right? Even if those options extend to the draft. Do you want to be relying on a rookie receiver? No. That's not how you maximize Jaden Daniels. By asking a rookie to be your number 2. That is not, I repeat, not how you maximize Jaden Daniels. That is not how you do that, which is why I don't think we will, right? I'm not telling you that we won't go and get another rookie receiver to add to the mix as a 3rd, 4th, 5th option that you look to develop. But I'm just telling you, it's not likely that that guy's going to be a rookie at 27 we're drafting. You know, that you're going to try to get to pair with Terry and say, yep, we got our 2 guys. That doesn't jive. All right. Cooper Kupp is an upgrade over what we've had, but he's not the type of upgrade that we're looking for. Again, if they decided Cooper Kupp was the option, he's cost effective. You know, it kind of fits into the 1 year, 2 year space that they're in right now. They're not looking to lock themselves in long term with the receiver. Cooper Kupp fits that mold. Get him for a year or 2. You're not gonna have to break, like, he's 32 years old. You don't have to break the bank for Cooper Kupp. Like, he's making what, I think 19 million or something like that. That's solid money. That's not earth-shattering money. That's not what you're gonna have to pay the rest of these guys on this list.
But at 32, again, I'm not looking for a savings. I'm not looking for a discount. I'm looking for production. I'm looking for a game changer. I don't see Cooper Kupp as that. This ain't 2021. I don't see Cooper Kupp as that anymore. That said, he's on this list, and I'd take him. If you told me the other four weren't available and I need a guy, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Beggars can't be choosers. Always remember that. All right. If you said, hey, you can't get none of these other dudes. All right, Cooper Kupp, come on down. Dun-dum, 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 dun-dum. Come on down, Coop. Got a spot for you right here. But this is assuming we have access to other guys. So Cooper Kupp's number 5. All right. Coming in at number 4, Deebo Samuel. Who? Deebo. I'm going to just tuck mine in. So let's talk about Deebo a little bit, because of all the guys, he's the one we really haven't discussed here on the program, because didn't know if he was available or not, so it didn't really cross our mind. Not coming off the best season is Deebo Samuel, but he wasn't awful last year, and he wasn't super banged up last year. He just wasn't very effective. But the 49ers overall had a rough go of it as a team. Tons of injuries, guys underachieving last year. As a whole, they just weren't very good. So he fit into that whole narrative of the 49ers just struggling last year. That said, he's still damn good. Let's check the age on Deebo. I got to assume that he's got to be somewhere in that 28 range, if I had to guess. Let's see. Deebo Samuel is 29 years old. He just turned 29 in January. So he's getting up there, right? Obviously. But he's roughly the same age as Terry. Terry's probably 29, about to turn 30, sometime in the near future. How old is Terry? Terry's got to be in that same. But like I said, it's levels to this. Terry, I think, has more tread left on the tires because he wasn't a guy that was high usage in college. Yeah, Terry turned 29 in September. So Terry will be 30 before Deebo turns 30. So they're both 29, going into their 29 years of age season. Deebo will be 29 pretty much the entire season. Before the season starts, Terry will turn 30, or right as the season starts, Terry will turn 30. So roughly the same age, right? I described on the show the other day, right? Command Post show we did the other day. I described the type of receiver that I felt like we need if we are to compete with a team like Philadelphia, because if you run into a team like Philadelphia who's going to try to play too high shell, and this is where a run game would assist you, because if you can run the ball, they're going to have to bring that extra defender in the box. They can't play too high shell, et cetera, et cetera. But let's say that the run game isn't available. They're taking it away. You can't run it effectively. You're putting the game on the shoulders of your quarterback, which we did. And the defense is forcing you to take what they're giving you, which is what the Eagles do better than anybody in football, right? They're not giving up a bunch of big plays. They're not getting up a bunch of explosives. You're not getting on top of them very often. So you've got to take the short passes and turn them into dynamic completions. And you can't do that with guys like Cooper Kupp, right? You can't do that with guys like Olamide Zaccheaus. No disrespect to all of the guys that we had on the roster, but there were only 2 guys on our team this year that you could throw a short pass to and they could do something with it. Terry McLaurin, he did that in the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Did it the week prior against the Detroit Lions for a touchdown as well. And De'Ami Brown, right? And he did that in wild card weekend against Tampa. He did it against the Lions, with a nice little catch and run. And then obviously he tried to do it against Philadelphia and he fumbled the football. And he had another one where he caught it and almost scored a touchdown early in the ball game. So those were the 2 guys.
And you need more of that. You need dynamic winners, guys that can take a short pass and turn it into a big gain, especially when you're playing against disciplined defenses like Philadelphia. Debo provides you with that. He's a guy that you get it to now. And he can make two guys miss, take a 5-yard pass and turn it into a 55-yard touchdown. He does it in a different way. He combines power and speed. He kind of turns into a running back with the football in his hands. But I don't give a shit what it looks like. Just do it. And he does. So from that standpoint, he's intriguing. He offers you versatility. You can give it to him as a running back out of the backfield. You can create mismatches out of the backfield in that manner, right? Line him up in the backfield. That's going to force the defense to declare what kind of coverage they're in. If you send him in motion, he goes in motion. They don't go with him. They bump coverage. Okay, it's zone. That guy runs with him. Okay, it's man. And if you get a backer or a safety on him, you know, okay, this is the easy ISO. Let me go get it to him. He can win, right? You can do the wide receiver screen thing with him, right? Because he can make somebody miss. He can break a tackle. He can turn physical. He doesn't mind getting into a fist fight. So he checks a lot of boxes. Here's what I don't like. That's that shit I don't like about Deebo Samuel. That if I were pursuing Deebo Samuel in a potential trade and I was talking to his agent, this is the first thing we would discuss. He can't bring that podcast shit here. Not in season. Again, I don't give a damn what you do in the offseason. That's your prerogative. That's your time. You do whatever you please. During the season, we're not doing the podcasting thing. That's what the Jets just pretty much told Aaron Rodgers. You want to be here, you can't do the Pat McAfee thing every week. We talked about this on the podcast yesterday. Said the same thing about Deebo Samuel yesterday on the podcast. I'm not going to have you come in here, and I don't think Deebo Samuel's a locker room cancer. I don't think he's a bad guy, none of that shit. He's a little saucy with the outfits. We done seen that. A little saucy with the outfits. He's a little spicy, right? Wouldn't have done that. Looks a little bit YMCA-ish, right? It's fun to stay at the YMCA, right? Like, but look, to each its own. You think it's fashion? I'm like, yeah, I'm good, bro. I'll pass. That doesn't change the fact that this dude is a monster on the field. If he said, yeah, no, podcast put away. I come to your team, podcast put away. I'm interested. I don't think it's going to take a lot trade-wise to get him either. I think you giving up a day 3 pick, a 4th or 5th round pick will probably get you Deebo Samuel. Not quite sure. I haven't looked at his contract, but I'm assuming that we're getting close towards the end of that thing. So that would be a conversation. If you're going to give up some draft capital for a guy, you probably want him to be around for a little while. So that's something with most of these guys would come into question, obviously, with the exception of Cooper Kupp. He's the one guy that you trade for and you're like, yeah, we're renting him. So you give up a 6th or a 7th round pick for Cooper Kupp. Deebo and the rest of these guys, you're going to probably have to give up some. Deebo's, you're still in the day 3 range for him. The rest of these guys, we're talking day 2, day 1 draft capital for these guys. More likely than not, day 2 capital. Not Deebo. However, he's not your traditional wide receiver either, right? Like, that's part of the reason he's so far down my list is I can't tell Deebo Samuel, hey, go run this tremendous 15-yard bench route because he's not a dynamic route runner. He's a get it in his hands now. Yes, they threw the drift route or the dig route in San Francisco. That's one of the staples of their offense. And Deebo can catch that route.
But they threw that route to a lot of guys. That was more of the Brandon Ayuk route in their offense than it was Deebo Samuel. They would throw it to him every now and again, but he was more of a catch this slant, make something happen. We're going to put you in the backfield and toss it to you. We're going to throw this wide receiver screen, this tunnel screen to you. You're going to make something happen with that. We're going to get it to you real quick and let you go to work. I want a guy that can run routes. I want a guy that can, even if he ain't running routes, there's some kind of physical advantage to get. Like Deebo's 6 feet tall, not the fastest guy in the world. Like he don't give you any real advantage if he don't already have a ball in his hands, right? His advantage is when you give it to him. That's his superpower. You give it to him, and now he can turn into a dynamic, physical, game-changing player. What does he do without the ball in his hands? I'm not talking about blocking and all that. I'm talking about like route running, attacking the football in flight, that sort of thing. That's not Deebo Samuel. Again, much like I said with Cooper Kupp, if you get to a point where these other guys aren't available or the asking price is too steep or there's some other thing that's deterring you from pursuing them and this option is available, make it happen, right? Because as I just said, Deebo Samuel, Deebo, I'm going to just go ahead and tuck mine in, is way better than anything we've had opposite of Terry McLaurin in his entire career. But to me, is he a true number 2? Not sure. I would say so, yeah. But I feel like you can do better than that. Now, we're going to be, tied to Deebo Samuel, obviously, because of Adam Peters and his relationship with Deebo and the time spent overlapping in San Francisco. So naturally, our name is going to come up. And we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be shocked because Adam Peters knows Deebo Samuel. He knows what he's about, his work ethic, his physicality, what he stands for. And if he determines that guy's a commander, who am I to say, no, don't do that? I've already told you, whatever they decide, I'm on board. I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree with it, but I'm riding with it. But for me, of these options, he's number 4. Number 3 on my list, I debated whether he should have been 2 or 3. But I landed on 3. Garrett Wilson. He's so dynamic. And I talked about this the other day. And when I was talking about the type of player I was looking for when you're playing against Philadelphia and teams like that who are going to make you earn it, who aren't going to give you a lot of opportunities to hit vertical shots. You're going to have to take advantage of, creating space underneath, winning underneath, making guys miss and getting yards after contact, after catch. In my mind, I was thinking about Garrett Wilson when I had that conversation with y'all. And if I would have made this list that day, he'd be number 1. Because that's the type of time I was on. The watching what the Eagles did and seeing how much success Xavier Worthy had and thinking to myself, he should have had even more had they, to me, game planned appropriately, adjusted throughout the course of the game appropriately, he would have been the star of the show. But I'll tell you why he's 3rd, and you'll probably get a better sense of it as we continue on because I'll say it multiple times. But Garrett Wilson is big. I mean, is physical, or not physical, excuse me, athletically gifted,
can win better than anybody on this list. He can separate. There's legitimate speed. There's legitimate quickness. There's ball skills. Like everything you want in a receiver from a quickness, route running, hands, all of that good stuff. He's got it. Where I struggle with Garrett Wilson, sometimes there's consistency issues with drops. We've seen that. And also, I don't know if I want another smallish receiver, someone that opposing teams can get into the body of. Now, he's dangerous and he's not like the others. He's not like one of these guys that you can feel comfortable coming up and pressing at the line of scrimmage, because if you miss, that's your ass. So from that perspective, he may not get jammed or tested at the line of scrimmage as much as we've seen other guys like Jahan Dotson, for instance, who was another diminutive receiver who we thought had some ability down the field. But, you know, teams would test him. You saw the Chiefs were comfortable coming up and pressing him in the Super Bowl. And what did he do? He beat press, something he struggled to do in college and here in Washington. He beat press. He got on top of Connor, the corner, and almost scored a touchdown. But those opportunities are too few and far between for guys like Jahan Dotson, undersized, you know, receivers who struggle with press coverage getting off the line of scrimmage. Because the physical teams they're gonna come up and they're gonna test a guy like him. He's young. He's going into the prime of his career. You trade for him this offseason because the Jets got a decision to make. And you still have the 5th-year option under your belt. Like, you have, unlike the rest of these guys, you got roughly 2 years. And I got to look at Debo's contract. But unlike the rest of these guys, you got a legitimate 2 years to figure out what he is and if he's a good fit or not. But the other guys, you got to bank on these guys being a fit for you, because you're probably going to have to extend them as soon as you get them. Because nobody wants to trade a big-time asset for a guy that isn't going to be around for the foreseeable future. It's hard to wrap your mind around giving up a second-round pick for a guy that is only going to be here for a year. Nobody wants to do that, right? You trade a second-round pick for a receiver, you want him here for the next 3 years, minimum. We just traded a 3rd-round pick for Marshawn Lattimore because we expect him to be here for at least that, you know, this past 2024 season, the latter half of that, and all of the 2025 season, and then possibly beyond. We want him to be what Darius Slay was for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what we want Marshawn Lattimore to be here. The guy you trade for and plays well for you for multiple years to finish out his career. That's what we're hoping Marshawn Lattimore is for us. Garrett Wilson is super talented. You could argue of the 5 guys that we're going to talk about tonight, he's the most talented. But I know this division. I know it well. I know what this division is all about. And I've seen what this division does to smaller, diminutive receivers. And I've seen how bigger receivers have affected this division and the teams that we play in it. And I just think that that's the way to go. Now, again,
I would be elated to get Garrett Wilson. Okay. Elated to get him. The next three guys that we're going to talk about, hands down, elated. Like Debo, I'm cool with it. I'm not going to be like over the moon. Same with Cooper Kupp. I'll be like, all right, that's an upgrade. I'm with it. But I'm not going to be like, yo, oh my God, I can't believe. You get Garrett Wilson or the other two guys we're going to talk about. You can't tell me nothing about what's about to happen next season. You give up what you got to give up. You pay what you got to pay, and you add that kind of guy to the roster. That's how I feel about the next three guys. This one and the next two guys that we're going to talk about. That's the type of time I'm on. Accelerated time, time frame. Let's go get it. But he's 3 because he lacks the size I'm looking for. I want size, man. I'm tired of all these smallish receivers opposite of Terry. And I think Jaden would benefit from a receiver with some height, some size, some girth, pause. A physically imposing wide receiver. I ain't gonna lie. I'm watching AJ and I'm like, man, we could use one of those. Who doesn't know he's getting the ball on 4th down? Who doesn't know? Who doesn't know? Here's the thing. You still can't stop it. You can try to press him. You can play off. He's just going to box you out. I mean, what do you do? What do you do? I'd like one of those. You can get physical with a Garrett Wilson on 4th and 3. You can get physical with him. Let's get physical. You can get a little physical with him. 4th and 5, you can get physical with him. Hem him up at the line of scrimmage. Force Jaden to have to come off of that read and get somewhere else. And by that time, maybe pressure starts to get to him. Plays all blown up. But you can't do that to the next guy on my list. Or the guy after that. Checking in at number 2 for me, it's T. Higgins. T. Higgins has proven already that he is a worthy number 2 receiver in this league. 1A, 1B. He's already proven that. Having played with Jamar Chase. He's proven that he can be the other guy opposite of a Batman and hold his own. He's more like the Spider-Verse, right? He's more like, hey, you Miles Morales. I'm Peter Parker. And he's cool with that. We both Spider-Man. We just different ones, right? Different dimensions, whatever. He's big. He's physical. He's got elite A1 hands, snatches the ball out of the air, can go up and get the 50-50 ball, can win, just like A.J. Brown can on that go ball. I was watching Hard Knocks a couple of weeks ago. And they were doing the Saturday night game. And I remember that game very vividly against Denver. They had to win it to stay in the wild card race, right? We counted Cincinnati out a while back when they lost a game. I think it was to Cleveland. They lost to somebody that they had no business losing to. No, they swept Cleveland this year. They lost to somebody. And it was like, well, it's over now. It was Pittsburgh at home. They gave up like 40-something points. Lost to the Steelers. Like, okay, it's over. And then they won every game, including that big-time showdown against Denver on a Saturday night in Week 17 to keep their season alive. You know who was the biggest receiver in that game on the Bengals side? T. Higgins. Every time they needed a big play, they went to T. Higgins. He had a fumble in that game. First time he's fumbled in like 3 seasons. He was pissed. But every time they needed a big play, big fade ball down the sideline, who they go to? T. Higgins. Game on the line. A field goal kicker missed a chip shot field goal that would have won them the game. So they didn't want to kick a field goal in overtime. F a field goal. We got to score a touchdown. We can't trust Cade York. We know all about it, right? We could have told him that, saved him the trouble. So who does he go to? Could have went to Jamar Chase. And that would have been a great choice. But they went to T. Higgins. And you know what he did? Ran a pylon comeback. Snatched the bitch out of the air. Touchdown. Everybody drive home safe. Season still in the balance. We still got a shot. Season still alive. That's what I want. One of those kind of guys. Size. It don't matter, right? He's 6'4". What you gonna do? You ain't got a 6'4" corner. They don't make those anymore. They don't make 6'4" corners anymore. The days of, Walls, what's his name? Why can't I think? I was about to call him Wesley Walls. That ain't his damn name. Back in my Madden days, something Walls. Lenny Walls, that's his damn name. 6'4" corner. They don't make them no more. Ain't too many dudes that can go get it, high point the football. Can't too many dudes, press him or even try to press him at the line of scrimmage. And if you do, try at your own peril. It's the same shit that you try it with AJ, right? Our guy, Marshawn Lattimore, tried to press AJ Brown at the line of scrimmage. Somebody said he grabbed his face mask. It looked weird how he kind of ducked his head. I don't know if he did or not, but he tried and he failed to press him at the line of scrimmage and got beat on a 4th and 5. You play off, he's going to run the slant. You pick your poison. What do you want to do? I'm going to box you out if you play off. You try to get in my face, I'm going to beat you off, press coverage, off the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to get vertical on you. You choose how you want to die. But you are going to meet your maker, okay? You choose how you want it to go down. I want one of them. I want a big, physical wide receiver. You can add speed. I already told you. You know who else I would get? I already told y'all this. My wish list is you go get Tutu Atwell. We can still get somebody that you get it in their hands and they can make something happen. You can still go get another one of those dudes. We shouldn't be done just off of one of these receivers. Tutu Atwell ain't going to cost you a whole lot of money. I'm going to be pissed if we don't get a guy like a Tutu Atwell. Go get you. That solves your return game issues. And you got a guy that you can get it to and he can make something happen with the football. But we need a big physical wide receiver. And let's not act like T. Higgins is running a 4.65 or some shit. We always equate big receivers and act like they can't run. Let's not act like Mike Evans won't get on top of you, pause, and get vertical and make something happen. That's what T. Higgins is. Same thing. You try Mike Evans at the line of scrimmage, Mike gets on top of you, and Mike is gone. Same thing with T. Higgins. We ain't going to sit here and act like T. Higgins is out here running a 4.6 because he ain't. T's plenty fast. I like T. Higgins a lot. Here's my problem. I don't even think he's going to be available. I think the Bengals are going to franchise tag him. It's only $5 million more than they paid him last year. Now, here's the problem with franchising him. You're going to have to pay him $26 million against your cap. The Bengals don't have that kind of bread to devote to him again for a second year in a row. Now, if they want to have $26 million, they can, but that's a lot to be carrying on your cap for one season. right? When you got guys like Jamar Chase that you would like to extend so you don't get to free agency next year, a guy like Trey Hendrickson that you would like to do something with so you don't get, because again, you got to get one of those two deals done this year if you're planning on keeping both of them, because what you will find yourself in a position of having to do next year, and again, Trey Hendrickson will be a year older. I don't know if they want to go long term with him, but you don't want to be in a position where you got to pick one and then the other one walks. So if you want to keep both of them, you get something done with one of them this year, and then you get the deal done with the other one next year, or you can at least franchise tag the other one next year. I think they're going to franchise tag T. Higgins and try to trade him. I don't think they have any intentions of keeping him, but they do understand that we can get something for him, and we don't have to wait till 2027 to get our compensatory pick. We can get it this year in 2026 draft. Or excuse me, we don't have to wait till the 2026 draft. We can get it in the 2025 draft. Get that same third round pick. Or I could bop somebody over the head and get a second round pick. That's what I think is going to ultimately happen. Either they're going to franchise tag him with the intent to keep him, or they're going to franchise tag him with the intent to trade him. Either way, I don't think they're just going to let him walk. But we'll see. He's number 2 on my list. And then lastly, number 1. You guessed it, DK Metcalf, otherwise known as DK Metcalf. I remember when this guy came into the league, I couldn't stand him. He couldn't run routes. He was a one-trick pony. He reminded me a lot of Gabe Davis. And what is Gabe Davis proven to be in this league? A one-trick pony. All Gabe Davis did at UCF was, and they had these ridiculous splits. They lined their receivers up damn near by the sideline, and all Gabe Davis would do was run 40, 50 yards down the field and catch a deep ball for a touchdown. It was like, yeah, that shit isn't going to work in the NFL. But he actually made a good living doing it in Buffalo. Anyway, that's all DK Metcalf did was run. It was either dunks and layups or 3-pointers. There was no mid-range, right? Either he was catching an underneath route and breaking 2 tackles and going to the house, or he was catching a deep ball. But there was no intermediate. There was no route running. And he's still not the best route runner in the world. I don't care. He's a freak, man. And, you know, I remember that first season in the league when everybody, including myself, had something to say about DK coming out that year in 2019. And I remember all of the analysts saying, bro, I think it might have been like Mike Mayock, Daniel Jeremiah, all of them were saying, bro, look, you never bet against that rare combination of size and speed. He'll figure it out. There's a place for that kind of behemoth in the NFL. Don't bet against that. And I'm like, man, I've seen big receivers with speed before. It was like, not like this one, bro. And they were right. They were right. He is different. He is different. I was watching like an old short of Darius Slay talking about getting into it with DK Metcalf. And it just made me laugh. And it was Darius Slay talking about an encounter he had with him. I want to say it was like, might have been a playoff game against Seattle a couple years back. And it was like his first time really covering DK. And, you know, DK is a big physical dude. And so he jacked him up. You know, DK jacked him up early. So Darius like, I bet, you know. So now they start talking. And he's like, Darius like, I'm not even a dude that talks for real. But now he, you know, we talking and stuff. And so, you know, Darius tries to get his lick back or whatever. So they get into a little scuffle. And then, you know, a few plays later, DK's like, bro, it's levels to this shit, man. And he jacked him up pretty good. And Slade was like, bro, I wanted to fight him. At that point, F football, you know. But what you gonna do? The dude is 6'4", 230, like a meathead. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What you gonna do? I've seen him destroy Philadelphia multiple times. I've seen him destroy Dallas before, multiple times. I've seen this guy catch a slant and go for 70 yards. I've seen a guy walk off a team in overtime on a go ball. I've seen this dude be physical underneath. I've seen this guy get vertical. He can do everything. He's not the greatest route runner, as I've said, but neither is A.J. Brown. Okay? Neither is A.J. Brown. That shit doesn't matter. When you're that big and you're that physical and you possess the ability to run, you threaten the defense at all levels. There's a lot you can do with a DK Metcalf, man. And word out on the street, because he's getting up there in age too. But he's 27. He'll be 28 before the season starts, I believe. I'm willing to pay for 28, 29, and 30-year-old DK Metcalf. I can't speak for you. He's going into the final year of his contract. I think gives $18 million. That's nothing for DK Metcalf, by the way. But you probably tear that up and give him new money. And shit, if you're going to pay T. Higgins $30 million, you might as well pay DK Metcalf $30 million a year. I'm all in. I already know what he can do. I know he can take the top off of defense. I know what that deep ball would look like from Jaden to DK. I already know what that shit. I can already envision it. JD to DK. Him running under that shit with 2 yards of separation. I can see it now. I could also see Jaden throwing him a slant like he did Terry in the NFC Championship game. And DK breaking a tackle and just hauling ass. I could see him throwing a comeback to DK and DK breaking a tackle, which nobody else on this team seems to be able to do. Not on a comeback. Not on something coming back towards the line of scrimmage. But I can see DK shutting one of these defenders off like a damn pesky flyman. Get your ass off me. Simple 5-yard, 7-yard, 12 back to 10 curl route is now out the gate for 88. I want somebody that gives you a real advantage every time they step on the field. That's what I want. DK Metcalf, every single snap he is on the field gives you a decided advantage if you so choose to use it. There aren't many guys faster in the league than him. Go find me a bigger receiver than him that exists in the NFL right now. Hell, he's bigger than some tight ends. He's bigger than most linebackers. As you see these guys trying to transition from, college safety to linebacker like we have with Dominique Hampton, he's probably bigger than Dominique Hampton right now. He's faster than everybody. This man competed in the qualifiers to try to go run in the Olympics for the U.S. Like, they don't just let anybody do that shit, man. That's world-class speed we talking about here. In that frame, he blocks in the run game, which is a big thing here. I'd love to see DK Metcalf at the head of a screen that we're throwing to Terry McLaurin. I'd like to see y'all try that shit on the train now. Try and blow that screen up now. Now that it ain't Olamide Zaccheaus or Luke McCaffrey over there blocking. Try it now. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Word out on the street. is that Seattle doesn't want to pay him the $30 million that's coming to him. And they're going away from him, which we saw last year. It's evidence of it. Jackson Smith and Jigba has emerged as their new number one wide receiver. They're with their new head coach, Mike McDonald. They want to run the football. They want to be a run-first type of team. They don't need 8 million targets to the wide receivers. And they don't need to invest as much money in the position if that's going to be your approach. He wants to play defense. He's a defensive-minded guy. He wants to play defense. He doesn't want to pay a receiver $30 million. I get it. But I said this before. I say it again. To any guy like DK Metcalf, if you're really available, I'll pay you. It ain't going to be cheap. You're probably going to have to give up a second-round pick for him. Okay. And? Like, scared money don't make money. If you're really trying to maximize Jaden Daniels' rookie contract window, you can't be afraid to give up draft capital. If you want to do it responsibly, like the Texans did, then your target isn't DK Metcalf. Your target isn't Garrett Wilson. Your target isn't T. Higgins if they franchise tag him and try to trade him. That's not your target. If you want to do this responsibly, then your target is Cooper Kupp. Your target is Deebo Samuel. Keep in mind, Houston already had Nico Collins, which for us, that's Terry McLaurin. They already had one already on the roster, and they already had Tank Dell as a guy they spent, I think, a third-round pick on the year before that they were really high on going into year 2. So they already had a guy. So they didn't need a number 2 receiver. They felt like they already had that on the roster. We don't have that. It's not the same. Okay, we don't have that. We're not going out and trading for Stephon Diggs, who could come in here and be a 2, but probably more likely a 3 because we feel good about our number 1 and number 2 already. That ain't what this is. So again, if you want to do it responsibly, it's levels to this shit. You ain't going after DK Metcalf. You ain't going after T. Higgins if he gets franchise tagged and you have to trade for him. And you ain't going after Garrett Wilson because you're giving up a day 1 or 2 pick, more likely than not a day 2 pick for all 3 of those guys. More likely than not a second-round pick for all of them. Maybe a third-round pick. One thing I've always said, we get the compensation wrong for a lot of these guys. We always think it's way more. It's going to cost you way more than what it ultimately does. But the Jets aren't giving away Garrett Wilson. Neither are the Seahawks giving away DK Metcalf. And if the Bengals franchise tag T. Higgins, it's with the intent to trade him. It's with the understanding that if we just let him walk in free agency, we're getting a compensatory third-round pick in the 2026 draft, more likely than not. So we're not taking anything less than a third-round pick for T. Higgins. It's the same thing the Chiefs did with L'Jarius Sneed. They tagged him and they said, hey, just give us a 3, bro. We know what the game is. We know how the game goes. Just give us a 3 and we'll call it even Steve-on. So you're giving up a day 2 pick for one of those guys. And I only bring these players up because they're either already on the block in the case of Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel, or there are real conversations being had about Garrett Wilson internally, new staff. What direction are we going in? Do we really want to pay him the money that he may be owed? They got an extra year, and that's the thing that might keep him around. They got the 5th-year option. They're going to pick that up. They don't have to make a decision now, but hey, he's of more value to you right now if you're going to trade him than he is next year. Anything could happen. If you really want to fast track this rebuild that's taking place in New York with the Jets, that's an asset you can trade right there, Garrett Wilson. And then DK Metcalf, I just told you, they're going in a different direction. Will they trade him? I don't know. If of all of the players, he feels the most likely to be dealt. DK Metcalf does. And if that's the case, sign me up for DK Metcalf pronto. So that's my list, and I'm sticking to it. There are other guys that are on the outskirts of this list that may be available. Chris Godwin coming off of an injury. Like, I'm good. I don't want anybody coming off of an injury. You know, oh, what about bringing Stephon Diggs home? I'm good. Coming off of an injury. I'm good. I'm good. And again, I don't need his kind, right? Guy that's going to get in the quarterback's face on the sidelines. I'm good. I'll pass. I'll pass. These are the 5 that I'm choosing from right here. I'm not telling you that there won't be other guys that might be in this mix, or like, but to me, if you're looking to make that big splash, if you're really looking to try to take that next step, you got to be aggressive. I expect Adam Peters to be aggressive. Now, what does aggressive look like? Because again, aggressive and smart can be done simultaneously. They can be done at the same time. Pick your spots. I could see this being one of those spots that you pick and you say, hey, we got a chance to get something elite opposite of Terry. Let's do it. We got a chance to get Jaden Daniels an elite weapon. So let's do it. Could you imagine an offense that bolstered Jaden Daniels at quarterback, Terry McLaurin at one receiver position, DK Metcalf at the other receiver position? Just say you just bring back Zach Ertz at tight end. Could you imagine an offense? And we haven't talked about any upgrades that are made anywhere else, like offensive line wise, running back wise. If they get a speedster in the draft that can complement, you know, Brian Robinson Jr. Like, could you imagine? Dream. Look, just let me dream for a little bit. We got about a month's time before this comes to pass because some shit's got to go down. You know, if we're aggressive in free agency, then the likelihood of us trading for somebody ain't happening. Because generally, these types of trades that I'm talking about, these take place prior to the draft. So this will happen more so mid to late April than it would March when the new league year starts. But again, we will see. So with that said, let's get to the comment section and then we will get out of here. The Grizz 57. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The Grizz 57 writes, hey, Louie, hope you and your family are doing well. Likewise. But I've been seeing posts about Sean Taylor's brother. What's your opinion on him? I got none. Like, I'm not one to be big on, oh, that's Sean Taylor's brother, so, you know, let's draft him here. I'm not nostalgic in that way. Like, there's no nepotism here. Can he play? You know what I'm saying? Is he good? I don't know. I don't have any opinion on his game. I don't even know where he went to school at. I'm pretty sure that if he is any good, if he is a draftable prospect, then guess what? My studies during this process will take me to him at some point. but I couldn't tell you anything about him. I've had people over the years send me clips. Yo, check out Sean Taylor's brother. And I seen some of it and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, it didn't move me. So I've heard that he wants to play for Washington. This, that, and the third. I'm pretty sure he just wants to play in the NFL. So, yeah, I couldn't tell you anything about his brother, to be honest with you. Kyle W. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for my guy Kyle writes, hey, Lou, give me DK Metcalf all day. That man is a freak. Lined up across from Terry. Come on now. Love to see the Eagles have to deal with that twice a year. They don't want that kind of smoke. But that's the type of time that we should be on. Like, we see what the Eagles got, man. They done put together an all-star caliber squad. Every year they got 7, 8 Pro Bowlers, 3, 4 All-Pros. We already know what we're dealing with in the division. Like, that shit ain't, and they're young. I already said this. They're not going away. This ain't like an aging team when you're like, yo, we just got to wait this shit out. And eventually our time will come. No, if you want your time to be now, you got to make the moves that, because we got the quarterback. That's the one thing we got over everybody in our division. We ain't got shit else over nobody else in the division. We don't got nothing over no other team. Our quarterback is better than everybody else's in the division. That's our superpower right now. But even that shit ain't enough. As we saw in the NFC Championship game, he did everything he could to put us in a position to try to win that game, and everybody else around him, for the most part, failed him miserably. He needs help. They got to go get him some. And I'm thinking about some help like that changes things. Changes things. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Duncan, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, hey, Lou. I love you and all Commanders fans. Don't you all feel the love? What we got going on here, Duncan? You in a good mood? You got to be. You won the Super Bowl. But I already told you this a long time ago. You're really a closet Commanders fan. And it's okay, bro. We will welcome you with open arms. You ain't got a front. It's okay. We wouldn't think any less of you if you just say, you know what? I actually like y'all. We know. We know. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? NFC East family rules mo other in any sports. NFC East is a very unique division. We talk about it all the time. Only division to have all 4 of its teams hoist the Lombardi. Now we've taken it up a notch with the Philadelphia Eagles winning their 2nd trophy. Not only are we the only division to have all 4 of its teams win a Super Bowl, we now are the only division to have all of its teams have multiple Super Bowl victories. So we're taking it a step further, right? When you hear other divisions talk about it's the best division in football, bullshit. Bullshit. Past, present, and future, the NFC East is where it's at. If we talking past, nobody got more Super Bowls than us. If you're talking present, the only divisions that can lay claim to more Super Bowl wins over the past 15 years are the AFC East because of the Patriots and the AFC West because of the Chiefs. But really, I don't even know if that division, because the Chiefs only have 3, right? Mahomes only has 3. Nobody else in that division has a Super Bowl. The Raiders have an appearance in 2002, but that's not 15 years, right? So if we expand it to 20 years, let's just do that, because that would encapsulate the Giants' 2 Super Bowls. And then now the Eagles have 2. That's 4. So past, present, and future with the Eagles being who they are, with Jaden Daniels looking like, going to be a guy that could ascend in this league and be one of the best to ever do it. Dak Prescott says they're close in Dallas. Hey, who knows? This division is where it's at. I'll tell you that much. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Duncan writes, JD got lucky this year. He will not repeat. Facts. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But the whole, the league's got film on him narrative. Well, they had film on him since week 1. You don't think they've been watching? You ain't think they've been trying to stop him? You don't think Tampa Bay was trying to stop him in wild card weekend? You don't think Detroit tried to stop him and had plenty of film to watch as to how to get that done? Ain't shit change. We'll just see what happens in year 2. We'll see what happens. We will see. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Fly Eagles fly. Night, you all good. You good people. Night to YouTube. And you kept it relatively coherent tonight, so I'm proud of you. Very, very proud of you. One too many heart emojis in one of the earlier supers, but that's all good. We'll just chalk that up to some Valentine's Day remnants, right? It's all good, man. The Commandalorian, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Commandalorian writes, Lou, peep this even better trio because I think they're cutting Debo. Give me Debo and DK and draft Arroyo. A wide receiver screen's gonna go crazy. Dream team. You can't invest that much money into one position. That would be insane. If you sign DK and Debo and draft Arroyo, like now you're investing too much into one position. If you sign DK and Debo, you don't need to draft a receiver at that point. You could just fill in the gaps. You could bring back OZ. You can, you already got Luke on the roster, right? Like then you could just fill in gaps with other guys. Bring back Noah Brown. Like, it could be very cost effective at that point. And you're not spending draft. You could just spread the resources around at that point. But I'd say the likelihood of that happening is slim and none. Slim and none. That you get both of them. You get one or the other, I believe. Now, could you draft, a receiver and get a Debo or a DK? Sure. Yeah. But not both and draft a receiver. I don't see that happening. But I digress. I expect them to do something. I expect them to be aggressive, trying to upgrade this roster and give themselves a chance to Arroyo is a tight end. Is he is that the one from the U? Sorry about that. Double up. Is that the one from the U? I think I could be mixing up my prospects. I think he's a tight end at the University of Miami. I might be tripping though. Don't get me the lion. But could they invest in a tight end early? Maybe. I think tight end is one of those luxury positions right now for us that I don't know if I see them being aggressive
attacking. Just off the strength of knowing we need other positions, and tight end you can get by for one more year. I don't know if they're going to try to attack it via the draft. I could easily see them bringing back everybody that was in the room last year and being comfortable with that. Ben Sinnott, we already know is going to be here. They really, I keep saying this, but they really like Colson Yankoff. Not just as a special teams guy either. I think they feel like he can actually play, and they want to continue to work with him. And, you know, Bates is a free agent. We'll see what they do there. But he's, again, one that's not going to cost you a lot if you want to bring him back. And I can see them bringing back Zach Ertz one more year. So, I don't know. I don't know. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Duncan writes, Kellen Moore is gone. Who do you think? I don't know what y'all gonna do. So the last time y'all went in-house with Brian Johnson, it didn't work. You went outside and got Kellen, and it did work. So maybe that's the approach you take again, is you go outside. But here's what I do know. Y'all weren't blindsided by this. Y'all knew that there was a realistic possibility that Kellen Moore could be gone. And then, you know, as you started preparing for the Super Bowl, you had to know. So it'll be interesting to see what they do and who's available. Maybe they do, like I said, maybe they promote from within. Maybe they, you know, go outside the organization. But we'll see what they decide to do. We'll see. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow. We'll have a brand new episode of the Louie T Network podcast tomorrow, as well as the Commanders Kings should be live tomorrow. We'll see. It's just been a funky week, so we'll see if we're able to link up tomorrow or not. But either way, I think this will be my last week running from the draft. I have no desire right now to do anything draft related, but I gotta get on my horse and giddy up. So damn, it feels good to not have any real desire to do mock drafts or any of that shit. We were in the NFC Championship game. That shit is wild, bro. So I'm about to tighten up, start getting on the draft shit and really honing in, seeing what these guys bring to the table. I've been told that this is a really solid defensive draft, not so much offensive wise. So certain positions, you want something, you better get it early. This is a very good tight end draft class, I've been told. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all know what it is. God bless. Leave it down in the comment section. What's your order? Rank these wide receivers. Good night. Big shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this stream. Peace.